Okay, I'm making this tutorial to show a member of Gimp chat how to use a layer mask to combine two images. Now there's two images that we're going to use. One is of a pair of shorts, sort of like these shorts right here, and the other image is of this girl here. Okay, let's close this out and open the two images we're going to use. So I go File, Open as Layers. Now I have a folder I created with the images in it. This is the one image right here. Now if we hit Control, we can select the shorts image, which is this image here. Now as you can see, this image is quite smaller, much smaller than this image. Ideally you want images that are close to the same size so that scaling is minimal. And what you want to do is to scale, the most favorable way of scaling would be to scale down and not scale up. But just for this tutorial, we're going to use these two images because these were the images that were supplied. So if we click on the girl and then hold Control and click on the shorts, both images are highlighted and we can open them as layers. So click Open. Okay, right away this layer has no alpha channel. I know this because the black area here, which is our foreground color, here denotes that there is no alpha channel. So we right click on that layer and go Add Alpha Channel. Okay, now as you can see, this image is very small, so we want to scale this image up. Now, I'm going to zoom in and show you that there really isn't much detail to this image, so scaling up isn't very critical. So, I'm going to choose the Scale tool, click on the Scale tool, and then click on the shorts image. Make sure this chain is not unlinked. You want this chain to be linked so that when you scale, it scales evenly. What I want to do is click and drag up to, say, about there, and that looks good, and click Scale. Okay, it's scaled our image. Now I'm going to move it. Click the Move tool, click on our image, and drag it down to where we want it to be. I say about there. Okay. Now we have our girl image, so right click on the girl image and go Add Alpha Channel. Now we want to scale this image as well, so we click on the Scale tool, click on the image. I'm going to drag from the lower right and pull up. I'm using my eye to match the image. Now you can move it by moving the cursor to the center. You'll see the center becomes highlighted. Click it and drag it down. That looks pretty good. Want to match her bottom area to the image below. So that looks pretty good. So we'll click scale. There, now it's scaled. Ideally, we want to put the shorts below the girl. So we click on the shorts image. Now you can move it down by dragging it, clicking on it and dragging it like so, or you can use the down arrow, which will move the layer for us. So we'll do it that way. And you can do the same, see? Okay, now that looks pretty good. So we zoom in a little. Now we want to add a layer mask to this and mask out all of her bottom trousers or pants here. So we right click on the girl layer and select add layer mask. Where is it? There it is. Add layer mask. The layer mask dialog will open, and you want this is the default layer mask, which is white full opacity. That's what we want. So we click OK. Now we select a brush from our brush, the tools dialog. Select our brush. Hardness 7.5 will work for us, but we need it to be a little larger so we can paint nicely on our layer mask. Okay, now I'm going to paint. Look, see, move the paintbrush around till we get all of what we want masked painted out. Okay. Now you can leave it like that. Or do more. You can leave the shadow, because there is a shadow being cast by the shirt, which is a little off colored. Now I'll hide this layer to show you what we did here. You see, this is what's left of the image once we painted. I'm painting on the wrong layer. Undo paint. I want to paint on the mask. So now we zoom in more and make our brush smaller. I have my scroll wheel configured that so if I roll the scroll wheel down, up, it makes it smaller. If I roll it down, it makes the brush bigger. That's much more convenient than having to come over here and move the brush slider to make the brush smaller or larger. Anyway, I'm going to make the brush smaller and refine the mask more. Okay. Now if you hold the Shift key while you're painting, hold Shift and move the cursor, it will paint in pretty much a straight line. So that's what I'm doing here. Clicking, moving the paintbrush and clicking, moving and clicking, moving and clicking to get a semi-straight line. Okay, that's that area. Now I want to go back up to here, refine this a little more. Holding Shift, clicking, moving the brush and clicking. Same thing, holding Shift, clicking, holding Shift and clicking with the brush and moving the brush as we go. Now we can hide the shadow layer again. Go back to our layer mask, and have a look at this to see if there's anything we missed. There is a few. I'm going to go and refine this a little more. Also, what I like to do is to add another layer. Right click on the shorts layer and go new layer. Doesn't matter what it's called, and just fill it with black. You can click on the black swatch for the foreground color, drag it and drop it in. That will bucket fill the background. Now we go back to our layer mask, refine this a little more until we're happy with how it looks. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let me get that out of there. Make sure there's nothing still hanging around. No small anomalies. Get this out of there. Okay. Now that's our layer mask. Zoom in. Okay. Now we can delete this layer. Don't need that anymore. That was just so I could see if there were any white anomalies left behind. So I'm going to right click on that and go delete layer, and click on the eyeball to show our shorts layer. Now that looks pretty good. Maybe we can move the girl up. So we click on the move tool, click on the image and move it up. There's the girl's, see her back there, skin of her back. So we move this down a little more to say maybe there. So I'm moving this by, I click on the move tool, click and hold and drag. That's one way of doing it. The other way is to, you click on the move tool, click on the image and use the arrow keys to move it. Okay, moving with the arrow keys. moving up with the arrow keys, moving to the right with the arrow keys, moving down, moving to the right. This is using the arrow keys till you find where you like it. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm not sure, maybe her torso, her upper body is a little larger than her legs. Let's scale this a little. I think it may look a little large, so we'll scale this a little more. I'll pull it down from the top, maybe right there. That scaled both layers. It scaled our layer mask as well as the image itself. So let's move this. Click on the move tool and drag this over. Drag it down till we have it just to where we want it to be. Okay, that looks alright. Now you can add a drop shadow, which is what I'm going to do now. We right click on the shorts layer and select new layer, call it drop shadow, and select our brush tool. Make it pretty big brush, 200, whatever the size you need, and painting on the drop shadow layer to give us our drop shadow, if you want to use a drop shadow. Okay, painting on the drop shadow. Alright. Okay, now zoom out a little and remove some of this drop shadow. Holding shift and clicking. And let's see. Okay, now we're gonna remove this part of the drop shadow. Now I'm going to blur the drop shadow, just to make sure the drop shadow layer isn't so large. I'm going to select, do a rectangle selection here, and use the go layer, crop to selection, and select none. That cropped our drop shadow layer. Now I want to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and blur that by, say, 10. Let's make it 20. Now this, you see the drop shadow isn't quite covering this part of the shorts, so I'm going to use the smudge tool to move this over to refine that drop shadow a little better. Alright. Now we can layer, lower the opacity of the drop shadow to make it look a little more like a shadow. 30, say 40, Maybe move her down just a smidge. Okay. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much done. Now we want to add a background, so we right click on the shorts layer and go new layer. Call this layer BG for background, and move it down by clicking and dragging it, or using the arrow key by going like that, and fill that with white. Click on the background color, drag it over and drop it in, and it fills it with white. Or you can go edit, fill with background color, or you can paint it. Make sure the white is on the foreground. Give yourself a nice large brush, paint it in. I like to bucket fill it because it's just so much quicker. Okay, now I'm going to crop this image. So we get the rectangle select tool, put out a rectangle selection, and then we go to image, crop to selection, and that's it. I'm using a new software to record this. I hope it comes out okay. I'm also using a different microphone that I'm used to. I haven't made any recordings in a while. I just hope this came out okay, and I hope you understand what I did there. Anyway, that's all.